Perla, Heart, Mind, Money podcast.
Super excited.
We're doing it.
Yes, we are.
Just in a nutshell, before we introduce who you are and why should they care, to be honest, right? Mm-hmm. Why did you want to do a podcast?
I wanted to do a podcast because first I've always wanted to have a radio show, and I've always wanted to have a show on TV where I mentor people, guide people, and send them to like my resource station where they are helped by experts in different areas, and then follow their story throughout the journey of coming out of a difficult situation into success, right? And so podcast is the new era of how people kind of consume information and they listen. Maybe not, they don't do newspaper anymore, but now they listen, right? Mm-hmm. They drive, they listen, they travel, they listen, and people are always listening. And so being able to put my nuggets, my resources, my experience in this podcast through the different many channels out there that have viewers and the audiences that consume information this way, well, I'm there to slide, glide, and duck and get on the wave to people listening to me.
I mean, at the end of the day, what I know about you is that you want to share with everyone. You've had immense success, and everybody can too.
Yes.
Period. The end. Like there's
1,000%.
You weren't born any different than anyone else out there in the world. It doesn't matter who is listening right now. You are somebody who is relatable. You created your success because of your mindset, your heart set, your soul set, and the support that you have.
Correct?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I love knowing her because it's true. All right. So who is Perla Tamez Casasnovas? Mm-hmm. In the journey of making over, and I have to preface this, that's why it's super important that I'm going to read this, so nobody judge. But in the journey of making over $100 million, finding your forever love, and executing your mission of igniting kindness around the globe, what were the milestones of success and what were the milestones of trauma that helped you arrive at becoming you?
Wow. Well, to put 36 years in a nutshell would be, many podcasts.
And we're going to have several.
many podcasts. But I could tell you that I am who I am today thanks to the lessons that life has put me through. Mm-hmm. Thanks to the family that I arrived to in this planet, and how that family was always very transparent with me and what was happening with life and what was going to happen and what were the consequences of the good and the bad, right?
Okay.
And with all that being said, being lucky enough to be first generation born educated American, I was able to add kind of like the pepper to my salsa. Like my life was like the chile, tomate, and cebolla, all of that, good, juicy, sweet, but the chile were like the hard times. But added the pepper was the education system of the United States. And that was able to form me based on theory. So I took my life lessons and I added theory to them because the United States of America, with the history that it has, and our founding members and how they formed the United States, really carried into the importance of education. And education, it's what keeps our mind growing and give us history of where we come from, but more than that, where we're headed.
Okay.
United States is not only the first power of the country just because. We are the first power of the world, because we have a land of opportunity, right? And when I came that with my salsa, with my family, with my traditions and all that, and embracing that with the education of fundamentals of, your mathematics, your grammar, your literacy, your history, all of that culmination took me to get started into college. At the age of 16, I was already going to college.
Yeah.
By the time I graduated high school, I graduated with 52 college hours. By the time I was 20, I graduated with my undergraduate degree.
Perla? Because you're talking about an education that us as Latinas, we are, like, most of us are on that trajectory. Like, we were raised by our parents and our grandparents, like, tienes que ir a la escuela, tienes que ir al colegio, tienes que ir, like, we are that generation, and the generations, now the younger generations are a little bit different, but that was like ingrained. But not everybody went to college at 16. Not everybody had that thing, that factor of like, I have to make it. I have to go into, get my education and be someone. Like, what was that thing?
Well, that thing, so I always say surround yourself with the 5 people you want to be like.
Okay.
And at that point in my life, I had a boyfriend that was older, and he had just finished his bachelor's and he was going on to get his master's. And so that's the example that I would see.
Okay.
Being so young, I knew that I've always liked expensive stuff, right? And I always knew that there was a bigger, brighter future. So at that time, when I would hear the average medium of salaries in our local town, I would say like, I don't think that's going to be enough for me to buy some Versace pants, right? Which is what I like to wear. And my parents would buy me those stuff at a young age. I said, what am I going to do to be able to sustain that? Because my father always told me, mijita, yo te voy a dar lo que tienes ahorita y lo que tú quieras. Pero acabando la universidad, tú tienes que buscarle sola. So, in other words...
And you were thinking about the Versace pants.
And
you were like,
I was thinking, like,
shoot.
how am I going to, like, sustain, right?
Okay.
And so, when I had that boyfriend in my life, very respectful man and educated, I said, this is the way. Like, I need to educate myself if I want to maintain at this level, you know, because my parents made it through hiccups, hurdles, success, hiccups, hurdles, success, right? And they carried us on in a higher lifestyle, right? But I knew that if I wanted to continue that, I needed to get the education aspect of it. And
you saw education's going to get me there.
Education is going to maintain me at that level.
Okay.
That's what I really always had ingrained in my mind.
So your thoughts when you were going to school and not partying were, I've got to be able to set myself up to be able to buy what I want.
Yes, like me thinking of, I wear this nice stuff, my mom and my dad gets me, but as soon as I graduate from college, if I can't sustain, I'm going to be frowned upon like I was like a daddy's girl. I'm not a daddy's girl. I'm there to use your resources to be better, but I need to become better myself.
Okay, that point right there. People who are listening right now and are like, okay, well, I am not from a wealthy family. I don't have these nice things. I desire them. I look at them and think, God, I wish I could, but there's no way that I'm worthy for that. How am I ever going to do that? I don't even know people that make that kind of money. Like, what do you tell them? What do you tell them that they need to start to do today?
Well, first of all, it comes to success is to the eye of the beholder, right? So what do you call success?
Right.
Your success is not my success, what I see as success. At that point in time, coming as a first generation born and educated American, my parents were from across the border. So every week we would cross the border and go see my grandparents at their ranch. And to them, success was uniting the family, seeing their crops grow. And clothes was not important to them. Trucks and vehicles were not important to them, but their tractors in that they would use to plow their land, those were important to them. You know, those would cost them, you know, a couple $100,000. But then they would drive a super old truck. So success is to the eye of the beholder.
Right. So define that.
To define that. So to me, it was, I know where I come from, and I'm not forgetting where I come from and where my family comes from. To my parents, for example, designers were not important, but I felt like luxury in that designer, right? And I always said, if you buy designer, it'll last you longer.
Yeah.
So I might buy one pant for every 3 or 4 months, but it's gonna last me years versus buying 5 pants a month, right?
Right.
And so for those people that are listening to this, don't let anybody define your success.
Yeah.
Your success is what you define success. Your success is to the eye of what you feel, right? And you can generate whatever you can generate if you do it in pieces. So if your goal is to have a newer car, then you focus on that and you work to build to the newer car. If your goal is to have, you know, new garments once a month, you work towards that because, you know, money revolves around the world. Money is always there. It's a matter of how you get to it and how you use it as a resource to your life, right? And so think about yourself as you have defined success in these 5 buckets, but maybe success for me is only 3 buckets. So I'm going to work on filling those 3 buckets. Once I fill those 3 buckets, I'm going to work on another 3. And maybe you're working on 8 and you're filling all 8 little by little. So it's a matter of how you approach your success. To me, there's nothing like, I can't make it happen, I'm poor. No, we have abundant of resources if you call it with your mindset. However, it's about how you spill into your buckets that equal success. If you have 10 buckets and you're spilling a little bit into each bucket, I would recommend downsize to 2 buckets, which are your 2 goals, and focus on those 2 goals.
Yeah.
Once you've conquered those, get them out of the way and work on the next 2, because money's always going to come. It's a matter of how you're using it.
I love that you say that money's always going to come. And I know that there's going to be people listening that are going to be like, how? How does it come? And I want to go back to you really diving into the fact that you forever have had a mindset of you're super self-aware. You're super self-aware in yourself. And I feel like that's the disconnection that people have. They're looking outside themselves for somebody to either hand it to them or give them the golden rule or to give them steps. And at the end of the day, you have the answers within.
All the time.
How did you know that? Because I started learning that. I asked myself at 35 about like, why am I not happy? And started to seek who I was, but because I was asking myself those simple questions that are the hardest to answer. Have you always been self-aware?
I think that I am a people pleaser. Right?
Okay.
And so because I am a people pleaser, I am constantly first pleasing myself. So
okay, well that took a turn.
That took a turn.
But that's like a
but the
gold
first
right there.
person you're supposed to please in this world is yourself. And you are destined to be so perfect only if you study yourself of how perfect you are. That everything that you have been made of and every lesson that you have been through are here to teach you something. But we live in a world and a society that victimizes people and that we have learned to victimize each other. Oh, pobrecita, pobrecito. No hay gente pobrecita. No hay niño pobrecito. It's what they're using that story as a lesson to make it better. Let's think about some children in Africa.
Okay.
I've been to Africa. The happiest persons in the world that I've met have been African. So those people are pobrecitos to who? To the people from the outside. So when people take a perspective from the outside, that's when you're always judging. So if you don't please yourself and you're not looking and evaluating yourself, you're going to think to yourself, I'm pobrecita.
I don't have this because
I don't
you're
have
looking
this
at all the things you don't have.
Because you're looking at yourself from the outside instead of looking at yourself from the inside out. Mm-hmm. What is it that you have? What are the nuggets that are built within you? What are the pearls that are built within you that you're going to project out? Mm-hmm. What is it that you have lived and for what reason? We have not lived the issues that we've lived and been put through to victimize ourselves and cry over them. Mm-hmm. We have strategically, by God, by the universe, by whatever your belief is, the things that you live and that you encounter are so that you go and dig into the lesson to make you stronger, to be a fighter, to be a survivor. And you're just testing your own abilities.
You know, the crazy thing is, Perla, like you're saying all this and the whole victimizing thing, I don't think that I don't think that Latinas understand that because of the way that we were raised on no digas nada, like no. And don't show off and don't be telling people on what you have or no, es que él es doctor, él dijo, o es el maestro, él dijo, o sea, cállate, that's the way it is. Like, that we didn't have a voice. And I think we're finally realizing that we have to go and we have to, like, change all of that within us that we're like, it's because that's what they told me. So, like, we have to stay here.
And so, since I've been little, I've been seen as a rebel. And I just do me. I please myself. And in the trajectory of pleasing myself, I am abundantly happy, abundantly joyful. I don't doubt myself. I don't critique myself. And so I'm just me. And by being just me, I am back in the day, I would be like rubbing off the wrong edges, right? But at the same time, I was letting others know, be yourself. Come out with your genuine heart and be yourself. That's the best gift that you have to the world. Just be you and be happy. Like the people in Africa, they don't know what they don't know they don't have. They're just happy because they have life, because they live joy and they live purely, right?
Yeah.
Because they are not judging themselves from the outer perspective. So if I could do that, and if I judge myself, just me right now, just me and I, right? I'm perfect. I have a great life.
You too.
Because I've made it that way.
did.
But if you study the issues that I've been through in my life, they're hard.
Let's talk about those.
They have been some hard situations. But it's a matter of, they make me hungry because now I'm stronger.
I mean, it's true, because you're the only person I know that like will ask people, like, criticize me, critique me, tell me.
I love it.
Tell me like what you didn't like.
I love to get criticized, and I love, because that's feedback, and feedback is golden. Because of the victimization that we have led on people to believe, you say, oh, I don't want to hurt her feelings. Well, guess what? You're avoiding her from having an opportunity to be better. It's called constructive criticism, positive criticism, and you should welcome that.
Yeah,
because if
for
not,
sure.
how are you going to get better? If nobody mirrors you, if nobody tells you, hey, look at this, then how are you going to be better? Think about that. That's why I love feedback, I love problems, and I love issues. Because
I know
they make me fearless, successful, triumph, strong, positive, and I'm like, yes, like another like pin to my chest, like a purple heart.
Yeah, like a purple heart.
Yes.
Except you didn't have to kill anybody.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
You didn't have to kill anybody. Okay, I want to go back to the question on, I want you to share one major milestone that helped you reach the success that you've had. Like one major milestone, like a day that maybe you had been like wanting this loan and you didn't know how you were going to get it, or like a dream that you had and you were like, how am I going to do it? I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it.
It came to me.
Tell me.
So we don't practice this, and I love it because this is just going with the
Yeah,
flow. Don't extra prepare. Don't overkill. Go with the flow and trust. This is an example of that, and I love that because this is just conversational. We're learning so much, and I'm sure others are going to get those nuggets of wisdom. So when I was 16 years old, I used to drive a truck. At that time, it was 2002. 2001, my father gave me a truck. And it was ¿cómo se dice? De una cabina. It was two-door.
A one trailer? Or
No. One cabin. A two-door truck, right?
Okay.
And it was kind of manly. And he told me he was going to get me that truck so that I can drive myself. And if I ever had an accident, because I was a little bit clumsy, I could be protected. And that truck was not automatic. Like I had to do this. Era del año.
Like,
it was from that current year, but I had to like chingale, right?
Yeah.
To drop the window. And I remember being a little bit embarrassed, like in high school, because I had to be like, hey, what's up, right?
Yeah.
And so I saved some money and I went to a local store and I put like a little motor, but then the motor was like, bzzz, like it
Real
would drop
slow?
the window super slow. So I was always like, ay, no, pa. Me da vergüenza en esa camioneta porque todo baja bien despacito. Like, I go to McDonald's and I just open the door instead of dropping the window. And he would always laugh. Long story short, when I turned 16, he calls me from the dealership and he says, hey, Perluch. I said, ¿qué pasó, pa? He says, so I'm looking at two cars here and I want to know which one you want. I said, okay. So my other truck was a Chevrolet truck, right? A Silverado at that time. And he says, I'm looking at a Malibu and I'm looking at a Cadillac CTS.
And you're like, without a question.
Which one do you want? And I said, ay, apá, pues quiero el Cadillac. Y dice, okay. In Spanish. He says, so if you want the Cadillac, it's just going to come with a commitment. This is the only car I'm ever going to buy you after this. But if you keep this car, I want to make sure that you can handle it and that you're going to be able to sustain on something like this or better in the future for yourself. If not, keep the Malibu and you can slowly work your way up. And I said, no, Dad, I want the Cadillac. And he says, are you sure you can handle it? And I said, yeah, I can handle it. Bring it over, right? So he says, okay, when to buy? So a couple of hours later, he shows up with
your Cadillac.
new Caddy, silver, sports package, leather interior, the whole thing. And then he gives me the keys. He says, nada más que hay un compromiso, Perlita. Like, there's a commitment. Like, take the keys. And I'm like, yes, Dad, I understand. I need to drive something like this or better for myself in the future because this is the only car you're ever going to give me. He says, yes. We are only going to change your tires when needed. And I'm like, oh, my God. So, like, I couldn't even afford an accident, right? Like, nothing. I said, okay. That whole night, I didn't sleep. Because I was just thinking like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to work in? How am I going to sustain this truck? Like the payment is X. The car payment is X. Like I'm going to have to work to make X. And then half of my paycheck is going to go to the car. So then I need to like study and investigate.
You need
what
to make
degrees
this much.
I need to make to be able to
God.
maintain this level of car, and then the gas, and then the insurance, and then like if I study that, that's still gonna be like half of my paycheck. That'll be dumb. I'm working 2 weeks to pay a car. That's ridiculous. Okay, so then I need to raise the bar. So then I was always hungry to be able to have to pinpoint what was I gonna study that was gonna be able to maintain that car or better.
Okay, so
I was only 16 years old. So I was constantly manifesting every day, like, I have to work like this or better. I have to make this kind of money or better. I need to be a teacher or I need to be a counselor. I need to be the principal. Like, what is it that I need to do that it's going to get me to that?
Okay.
And the people in my family I had some educators in my family. And they would tell me, like, if you want to be able to afford that car, like, that would be 3 or 4 years experience as a teacher. I was like, oh my God, can I give this car back? But I couldn't go back on my word. So that little lesson from my dad, first of all, taught me whatever level up you're going comes with a responsibility.
Okay.
You're either there for the responsibility or not. Nobody's going to do the job for you. You have to do it yourself. You have to manifest what you want, and you have to have integrity. Because when I told my dad, give me the keys, I need to keep my word. I gave him my word that I was going to drive that or better. So that was teaching me integrity, a tener palabra.
Yes.
Rain or shine, I was going to do whatever I needed to do to keep my word to my dad.
Integrity.
And nobody can sell your word. Nobody can buy your word. You build that day in and day out.
And it's up to you
to keep it.
How you build it. It's up to you. Nobody. So if people look at you and they've defined you as, oh, she doesn't show up, or she says she's going to do something, but she never really follows through. You did that to yourself. So you decided at 16 that you were going to be the person that always showed up, that always followed through with what she said she was going to do. And it all started because you are that enigma that is humble and kind, but loves nice things.
Of course.
So the thing that was motivating you were the nice things.
Getting to that level or sustaining at that level from the time I was 16 to the time I was 20, 4 years with the same car. All those skills that I developed because of trying to always keep my word to my father, because of keeping my integrity, it became a mindset of a character. It became a character of perseverance, of resilience, of honesty, of integrity, and that over anything I needed to do that was in my power, I was going to get it done, period, the end. There was no questions asked because I was not going to fall short on my dad.
Wow. That is like a massive lesson to take away from whatever it is that they define as success. It starts with integrity. It starts with, how are you going to show up for the world? How are you going to show up for yourself?
For yourself
Are
first.
you going to be that person that is defined by their integrity? Because that is one characteristic and component that is going to get you there.
That is just the root of who you are.
It is.
Number one, before you want to stand up for anybody else, you have to please yourself. You have to stand in integrity for yourself over and over and over again. This is like the mirror of the person that you please day in and day out. You can't please other people if you don't please yourself,
If you're
not in good terms with yourself.
Okay, Perla. That was that massive nugget of like what has made you, how you became Perla is really important, because I believe that there are common threads with people who are successful. And the people who, this is the thing, the people who are successful that have abundance in their life, it's not just the money, it's also that you are kind and loving and giving. I mean, right now I just heard you telling your employees that have been with you in creating the business that started all this, right? You're completing 15 years, right? Mm-hmm. Congratulations. Thank you. You're debt free. You're basically debt free. Mm-hmm. And because you're debt free, you are prepping so that everybody who's been with you on this journey is going to walk away with a fourplex.
Yeah.
So that when you retire, from what I understand, from the business, she's not retiring. You want them to be set up to have passive income. You are like this abundance, like you have the whole, I don't know, like just full circle, like all of it. That is what so many of us are missing. I think it comes from also understanding that whatever traumas and stuff you've had in your life, they aren't for you to carry with you as a weight. They're for you to learn from.
Learn and build the skill.
What is one main milestone that was part of that trauma that got you here too? So you had this amazing story about integrity. At the end of the day, it's integrity, right?
Correct.
One main pillar that is who you are. Mm-hmm. But trauma and challenges in life that are just really difficult to come through, most people can't come through unscathed. And I believe you do. I believe that your challenges and your traumas in life, you take them and you're like, okay, thank you for that, God. Thank you for that, universe. This taught me this. What was one that is a major milestone in your life that you're like, this is why I am who I am today, because of that challenge or trauma?
So we'll go back and talk about, people are built based on their traumas that stick to them between the ages of 4 to the ages of 11, 12, 13 years old, right? In that realm of time. And a trauma that I could remember of that time frame that I suffered at the time was when I was in 6th grade, and I was very popular, very talkative, but I was always also getting like into physical fights at this school.
Chingazos, Perla?
Yeah.
Wait, you're like 2 feet tall. Like, what in the world?
I was always defending other people, right? And when I would defend other people, or I would, know of something that was going on and somebody was abusing somebody, I'd go and like hit them in the mouth, like, ¿qué traes? You need to leave this person alone, etc. And those are the classmates that I grew up with, and that I grew up with through elementary, and then we were in junior high, right? And so I remember that on a Monday, the principal announced that it was going to be homecoming. So I was always in elementary. I was super excited about homecoming, football, weekend, etc. Right?
I mean, yeah, you love parties.
And I love parties. Yes. And so on Monday, she announces nobody can get in trouble. Anybody that gets in trouble this week will not be allowed into the homecoming dance. There's no trouble in the horizon for me, right? And that week they were voting the homecoming queen and the homecoming king. So I won homecoming queen.
Of course you did.
But that afternoon I got into a little fight, right? So here I go, expelled from school. I had to be expelled for 3 days, and I didn't go to the homecoming party, and I wasn't there to put on my crown. That really, really hurt me, and I said, what am I doing that is causing me these problems? I'm like a little too much. I'm too loud. And I shouldn't be this person because it's causing me into problems. And now, I'm supposed to be getting my crown and I'm not there. So then I went back and I was a lot more kind of settled down and stuff. But I was feeling like consumed because that wasn't me, right? So then that lasted like 2 weeks, and then I started being loud Perla again, right? Like me and who I am and talking and helping others, and I would be done with my work, and I would go and tell, the classmate next to me, hey, how do I help you? And then, miss, he needs help, so I was always, being my loud self was always stepping on others' toes. So very early on, I had to work around those little conflicts of learning to tame my energy when it was a little too much, and then when I needed to put it at that much, like it was a little bit too much, and then I got in trouble, but then I needed it to put it at too much, and then I won the homecoming queen, right? Yeah. So at a very early age, I had to learn what it took from me and my energy to be able to fit in the right spots. Okay, so it was like almost like my
self-aware
of others versus Perla. So that's where my emotional intelligence started.
Self-aware of others so that you could help them thrive instead of them feeling like you were like stepping on their toes.
Correct.
Whoa.
So then I was learning those little lessons, and my mom gets called to the office, and she says, your principal wants to talk to me. I'm going to go to your office later. I said, okay, I don't know what she wants. Yeah, I haven't misbehaved since last time I got expelled. So my mom shows up to school, and they call me, and I come to the office, and the principal, I'm never going to forget her name, Miss M, we'll call her.
Oh, okay.
That was not her name. That's like her letter abbreviation. And she says, so we've been talking about Perla, and we know she's very smart, but she's also very loud, and she's always causing commotion and the people to like get together and want to like woo in the hallways and stuff like that. And so we feel that she should go to another school.
For what?
What are they talking about, right? And then, and then my mom was like, okay, where? And she was like, we feel she should go to a magnet school. That's going to be a school that's going to have her fully focused on education with no extracurricular activities, because extracurricular activities give her extra energy, and then the teachers can't control her. Because I'm always like hee making comments, and then I'm making everybody laugh, and then I'm always having a good time. So then supposedly
joy. Basically, you were joyful.
I wasn't letting people focus because I was always causing distractions in class. But it was fun distractions. And so my mom says, okay, yeah, I don't want her to have any problems and be causing school any problems. We'll send her to the school the next school year. And I was like devastated. Like all my little friends, we were not going to be together.
How old were you?
I was, well, at what age are you in? I was 11, 12 years old. I was 12. I was 12 years old. And so they were sending me to a magnet school. Okay. So then they take me on a weekend to this magnet school because I had to take a test to get admitted into the school. You had to pass like a standard. And I was like, I'm not even going to try so that I fail, right? Or I don't pass. And I really didn't try much, and I passed the test. When you go to a magnet school, there's a higher rubric of evaluation. So you have to kind of get a good score if they're going to let you in this magnet school. So that magnet school was an hour drive from my house. And every day I had to go an hour drive to the school, an hour to and an hour back. And they were going to send me on the bus. Okay. And I always like to have my hair done. So for me, it was like a big issue to go on the bus because my hair was going to be like all undone by the time I would get to Edinburgh, Texas, all the way from my hometown, Hidalgo at that time. And so I had my feelings hurt for a long time because they kind of took me out of like my little friends that we were looking forward to going to the football games, going to homecoming and growing and being together. What I didn't know, that was the best lesson that till this day makes me who I am. That school that they sent me to had kids from all of the Rio Grande Valley, which is comprised of like 21 cities.
Okay.
So we had, where I went to school, we were like 99.9% Mexican Americans or American Mexicans. So Spanish was big in our hometown, right? And we all had kind of like the same values, beliefs, systems, etc., because we all came from that little town, and a lot of the people were immigrants, right? And those that weren't immigrants, they were first generations like me. So we would speak Spanish, eat tortillas de harina, like we spoke the same language. When they sent me to the school an hour away, there was kids that were Indian, Pakistanis, Chinese, blacks, whites, Mexicans, like different cultures.
Right.
So that was like so much fun for me because that was my curiosity spinning a different way. I wanted to know what they were going to eat, how they would pray. There were some kids that would wear like their
hijabs?
their hijabs, their Muslim outfits, right?
I think they're called hijabs. I'm not sure.
And so apologize if Giselle's wrong.
If Giselle's wrong.
And so that was like a learning curve for me. So being so focused into education because we had no extracurricular activities, I was always learning about people.
Yes.
Now my fascination was people from different races, people from different cultures, people with different beliefs. It was not just me and my Mexican American world. Mm-hmm. That was so traumatic and so painful because I remember crying over my yearbook, writing a goodbye letter to all my little friends because I wasn't going to see them again. And I was still living in that city.
Yeah.
And I was put into a jar of unknown people that I had never known before. Mm-hmm. But that trauma sparked my love for humanity.
Yeah. And it also probably that challenge of like, okay, you had to learn how to think of others because, well, they didn't know who you were and you didn't know who they were. And at your other school where you grew up, everybody was like, oh, Perla, she's fun, she's this, she's that, she's popular. And over here, it was like you were having to reintroduce yourself. So it was probably also an awesome opportunity for you to be like,
learn how to fit in.
And I mean, I don't know about you. Do you try to fit in?
Well, sometimes you have to assess the area that you're in. You have to assess the people you're with.
Okay.
And you have to be respectful of yourself as you are of their space.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a saying that says, be you and just boldly be you. Be you within the parameters that don't overkill. So I am always me.
Yeah. Always.
But there's different levels of energy me.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Because so sometimes people say, oh yeah, be you, just be you and screw the world. No, tranquila. Be you con límites y respeto. You have to be
limits.
aware.
Like, what do you like? Share what you mean by that, because I know, because I know you and I get to work with you every single day. I know that when you say limits, you're not saying limit yourself.
No,
you're saying within the limits that you find yourself in.
Correct. So, for example, one thing that I know wherever I'm at is that I need of others. Period. It's not me by myself. I didn't get here by myself. I need of others. And in order to be who I am and to continue to be successful and to continue to extend my wings, I need to be conscious of those who I need. And therefore, I have to cater for myself, but cater to others too. If I would just be unapologetic me, I could you could probably love me, but I could be disrespecting somebody else.
Yes.
And so I have to be me within my energy with my limits of who I'm with.
This is such an important, I want to slow down a little bit because I want people to walk away with how important this pillar is within yourself to be able to reach the success that they want. It's understanding that who you are as a person you matter, you're enough, but there's also a responsibility of you to be you within the space that you find yourself in because others matter.
Always.
So yes, you matter, but if you are not conscious of what others need around you, then you are basically letting everybody know I matter, but you don't.
Yeah, and then that's being selfish. And so that's why I always go against the position of be you and just be you. No. Be you con respeto, con niveles, con reglas, porque tú necesitas de la gente. Tú no naciste solo. Cuando tú naciste en este mundo, hayas nacido en una casa con una partera o un hospital.
Yes.
Hubo gente que asistió a tu madre para que tú llegaras a este mundo.
That's right.
Todavía, desde el momento que tu madre te engendró, necesitó de un hombre. Tu mamá no te hizo solo.
Okay, so say that in English.
So, Since the time that you stepped foot on this ground, your mother, whether she gave birth in a tub at home, in a pool, you were born through a midwife, or you were born in a hospital setting, there was more than 2 people assisting your mother. 1,000%, I can assure it any day, and I'll put my money on it. Number 2 is that if you want to push the limit, when your mother conceived you, she didn't conceive you alone.
It doesn't matter how she conceived you.
It doesn't matter how she conceived you. She had support of another human to conceive you. So as much as you want to trace back and argue this position, you will know that you are not on this planet alone. And if you can put your money on it, put your word on it, put your faith and your commitment into that simple sentence, you were not put on this planet alone, you will learn to value every single person that comes into your space.
That is a gift that you have.
The person that built this microphone was because, and honestly, like sometimes I see things and I go super like strategically in, and I'll be like, okay, this microphone was made by this company, sure. This idea was from a man that was probably in his house, and he said, I'm going to build a microphone company. And then he put the people together. He got an engineer. They put this microphone together. They tested it. They started playing with the materials. They started playing with like the sound that it carries through that somebody invented in I don't know what year. Like, we are all connected. And then he went to look for money that came from resources that somebody supported him to then hire the team that put this together. And now, because the gentleman that put this setup together chose this microphone because he ordered it through a website that somebody built that was in a cyberspace. Holy because internet works. And somebody that he put the card that was invented by a brilliant person was used to make the mechanism to pay for this. Then somebody shipped it, and somebody brought it in a plane to the United States, probably from China. And then it came to the mail system, and somebody drove it and then brought it to his office. And then today he wakes up and he uses this to bring to my office to facilitate how I'm speaking to the world. How many people blessed this microphone in front of my face today?
And all I have to say is that
it's a serious connection.
It's a serious connection, and you live what you preach, because today I got to witness it when your wealth, your success, how you got to where you're at, you do not forget everyone that got you here. Never. And you announce to them like the next step in your path, even though you're soon gonna walk away from the medical field. They're gonna continue their lifestyle or better.
Correct, because I know where I started. I know who started with me, who believed in me. I don't ever do it alone, and that's why I am who I am.
You are,
but within the square of the jello, because this is what I call it. When I hire somebody, when I talk to somebody, I feel like there's like an invisible square around us, and we're jellos. Because we are freely us, full of joy, love, distractions, issues, problems, lessons, etc. But we're like jellos, and so we're jelloing together, and we're getting to know each other, and then we're getting to know each other's strengths and weaknesses, but always within the parameters of this invisible square. And that invisible square is nothing but respect. You have to respect one another. I have to respect who you are, because what you bring to me was because of all the life and trajectory that you've lived. Because I have to honor you and all the people that came into your life to make you better and make you stronger. The ones that made you stronger were the ones that affected you. So I have to pay respect to that. Right? And that's why we always need to be us, be you, use those traumas, embrace them. Don't victimize yourself, but build from that. And always with respect. Ojo, you can't respect others if you don't respect yourself. So
and that's
your
where
integrity
it starts.
First. Your integrity first. Sobre todas las cosas, tu integridad es primero. Contigo como persona. You shouldn't be embarrassed with yourself. And if you are, talk to yourself and fix it. Because guess what? Guess what's the funnest part of when you lose integrity to yourself? The best thing is that this shoulder asks, this shoulder for forgiveness, and this shoulder is going to forgive you because it's all you.
That's so true. Well, Perla, this was amazing. This is part 1 of 2 series, because on the next podcast series episode, we're going to talk about what is Heart, Mind, Money, what is Latina Empire, and why is this podcast going to be able to be a resource for people to thrive and win and reach the level of success that they define. Yes. So we're going to walk away with this podcast with wrapping it up with the 2 things that we want people to go away with. 2 things to help them reach success. 2 things that helped you reach the magnitude of success that you are, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a human being who wants to ignite kindness in the world. And those 2 things are integrity and understanding that you can't do life alone. That the respect that people need to have within the space and the parameters that they find themselves in is incredibly important, even though, yes, show up, you are worthy, you are enough, but you show up at the same time to understand that however you show up has to be within those limits of respect.
All the time, 100%. You nailed it.
I nailed it! Woo! Woo!
Love it.
And I love you. I think you are the most
excited.
incredible, inspiring woman. And I can't wait to help share you with the entire world.
Thank you. You've got a great job and role in your hands. So you make of me whatever you need me.
Excites the
do.
shit out of me. Woo! Thank you, everybody, for listening to Heart, Mind, and Money podcast with Perla, the awesome Perla.
Thank you.
Yes, I want everybody to look into thelatinaempire.com, look more into what this whole mission is. Also, on all our social medias is at The Latina Empire, And to connect with Perla, who answers every single comment, message. We'll
Anything.
send you a voice message. We'll ask you to send her your WhatsApp. She will answer anything, any problem, any advice. I mean, you're pretty remarkable at that. And you can find Perla on Instagram at Reflexiona
con Perla.
Reflexiona con Perla. But we are all across social media, and Perla is always, every single day, pouring into you through all social platforms at The Latina Empire. And we also have our community at the Mana Lounge that you can find more information at any of the links on any of our social medias. And we would love to have you as one of our manas.
We've got to keep learning.
We got to keep learning. We got to keep healing our heart.
Healing your heart.
Challenging our minds.
Challenge your mind to fill your pockets.
To fill your pockets. Thank you guys for having us.